everybody, Craig Warrack here with part 3 of my Secret Santa custom project for 2017, in which I'm making the One Punch Man villain, Crablante. In the last episode you would have seen me research the character, and in this episode I'm going to be getting down to customising, and in particular I'm going to be breaking up some action figures and making a sort of skeleton based body to build this guy on. Now, Crablante is quite a big guy, so I'm going to be using some Build-A-Figures for this. So I'm thinking the Juggernaut and the Hulk Build-A-Figure, along with maybe parts from the Warlock Build-A-Figure, but we'll see how things get on. So yeah, I'm going to be taking my Dremel to them, splitting them apart, grinding them down, and trying to get the general shape of this guy. So without further ado, let's get time-lapsing to it. So here I've already taken the figures apart just by pulling the limbs, and what I'm doing here is heating the pegs and the knees with a heat gun and then using a blunt tool to push the peg out. But I actually found my heat gun difficult to use here as the plastic is so thick the heat wasn't getting through to the inside evenly, but I persevered carefully and separated the legs in the end. I then turned my attention to the torso. I wanted to use the upper torso from the Juggernaut but try and use the diaphragm joint from the Hulk as well. That meant trying to crack the Hulk's torso open. Now, cracking a torso open is often one of the hardest parts of customising, and it can be pretty random on how successful you can get with it, and it wasn't my lucky day. No matter what tools I used or where I drilled holes to try and lever this torso apart, it wasn't having any of it. So I just got out my cutting disc and ripped that thing apart. I only wanted the articulation from it anyway, so sacrifices were made. Next step was to attach the Hulk's legs to the Juggernaut's thighs. Hulk has double jointed knees which are essential, but importantly he also has bare feet like Crablante. So I took the Hulk's legs apart, and again, not having much luck with the heat gun, I heated the legs in boiled water instead, and it worked much more evenly through the plastic. Then it was a case of dremeling the legs down until I thought they were going to fit together nicely, and I used super glue and epoxy resin to glue all the parts together. I also dremeled away the detailing on the Hulk's legs to give me more of a plain surface for sculpting later. The final step was to work on the arms. I didn't think the Warlock arms would actually end up supporting the weight of Crablante's claws, so I used the Amazing Spider-Man movie lizard figure instead, and I'm actually using his legs for arms here. I'm also using the wrist sockets from Juggernaut as they're nice and big and will likely hold the weight of the claws well. Righty, well, there he is, right? Yeah, so you saw me doing a lot of grinding there, try to fit all this together. Yeah, I eventually settled on using the legs of the lizard figure from the Amazing Spider-Man movie, Marvel Legends, and using those for the elbows instead of the Warlock arms that I mentioned. And I've got the Juggernaut wrists on there, just as a sort of a peg hole so that I can fit the claws in. I don't know how I'm going to do those. Those will be interesting. So this is his new waist higher up here, and he still has his ab crunch there, but he's also got this additional ab crunch in there, and also that's given him some movement to the side. He has his articulation in the legs, double jointed knees, with the Hulk's legs put on there, and yeah, I've gone round and dremeled down to prevent paint rub. I dremeled down all the joints, dremeled down absolutely everything anyway. You can see there I've dremeled that all down, so that there's a nice gap. So hopefully that will help with paint rub. And yeah, so he's pretty much just like the skeleton of the creature at the moment. I think I'm going to be, before I try and do some sculpting, I'm going to try and build up perhaps with some styrene or something, just how it's going to articulate and how the kind of, because he's a crab, he has these like layers of armour essentially, especially around here, how those are going to work and how I'm going to hide that join but still keep the articulation. Yeah, and I just need to smooth it out a lot, need to just do some more sanding, get all these points smoothed down, and that's it, I guess. He isn't totally assembled quite yet, see I haven't glued that front part on, so I can still disassemble him quite easily and get to all the bits that will hopefully help with painting and sort of sanding it down a bit more in preparation for later stages. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. Oh, that was a lot of Dremling bits of plastic going everywhere. What a mess. But there we are. Thank you for staying with me, and I'll see you in the next one when hopefully he'll get beyond the skeleton and begin to look like the finished figure. Until then though, pour on the power. Bye bye.